poppin', everybody? What's going on, beautiful people? I am the Grandmaster, and I also go by D. We're bringing you the draft analysis for this season. Draft analysis for this season of the LTM, the Low Tier Mayhem. If you're excited for today's video, do me a massive favor and rage fist that thumbs up button. And if you're new, por favor, hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, hit the bell button so you can notified every single time we post a new video. The small amount of time too, so you hit that like and sub button really truly does help me out a lot. Pampas, you okay? Yeah? Roman's coughing in the back. But today, we're going to go through the team that we drafted for the very first inaugural season of the LTM. Big shout out to OG Albina for inviting us this season. I'm very, very thrilled. Like, I'm so over the hill excited for this season because we're playing low tier, man. And in a generation with so much freaking power creep, it's going to be so much fun. Like, you have no idea. This is going to be a good time. All of like the broken shit is out. It's gone. And after looking at the board, you'd be surprised like how balanced it is. Low tier may be the wave, man. I dig the vibe, bro. Like, hey, depending on how this season goes, you never know. But just a little bit of a ground rules of what to expect this season. We have, well, they have, I'm not an admin here. They have taken off a bunch of the top like echelon Pokemon, right? So we have basically, I would say it's like from 14 and higher if you used to like standard draft league format, but you won't see things like Dragapult, you won't see things like Palafin, like Annihilape, like Urshifu, and Iron Valiant. All of those Pokemon will not be here. They have reformed the tiers to the highest tier point is 16 and as low as 1. Just to kind of give you like a general consensus of what the top tier of the meta is. We're talking Entei, which probably like the number one, probably like the best Pokemon on the board was probably Entei, which is crazy. And behind that, there's things like Crocodile, things like Iron Jugulus, things like I think that that's like the biggest Pokemon that you could probably like the best of the best. I think that Hisui and Gudra was up there. That's just to kind of give you a general like sense of what is at the top of the board. This season is also going to be free Terra preview, which means that instead of choosing an X amount of types for your Terra captain to terrestrialize into, it can Terra into any type. The only catch is that before the game starts, you do have to tell your opponent which type that you are. Every coach has one Terra captain. And so, for example, if we had Mimikyu as our Terra captain, then if we Terra Ghost, then I would say good luck, have fun to my opponent, say, hey, I'm Terra Ghost, and then we start. Which is cool because now there's more creativity in the builder, and there's more of a, it's easier to play in. It's always tough to play in a game where Mimikyu can be a ghost, a fairy, a normal, a grass, a steel, and then your opponent is supposed to be like, okay, here's the Terra captain, now what type is he gonna be? So now you can be more creative in the actual team building process, but it's a little bit easier for the opponent in regards to not being overwhelmed by this broken ass mechanic. I like it. I think it's gonna be cool. This may be the way to go moving forward, but we're definitely gonna test this out. We're doing it this way in the LTM as well as the JJDL. So I think that this may be the new wave. TBD, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited for this kind of format, so let's see how things turn out. So we decided to go legit. Without further ado, let's hop on into it. We decided to go with Rain. That was the general consensus for this thing. Rain is overpowered. It's like, I think Rain is fantastic in standard, but in low tier, it's fucking crazy. They banned Pelipper, so the only Pokemon that was available for Rain is Politoad. At some point, we were gonna get Politoad. That was the number one, but in a format where there's a very minimal steel type Pokemon and very minimal fairy type Pokemon and very minimal removal for hazards, I wanted to, yes, go with Rain, but also I wanted to prioritize the best spinner on the format and the best fairy type. So for the very first overall pick, we decided to take Gardevoir. So Gardevoir, I think we were at pick 8, was our number 1. Gardevoir provides, it's like the best fairy on the board. It's super fucking strong at base 120 special attack. Roman's gonna start dipping his hand in here. At 125 special attack, it's got 80 speed, This thing hits so fucking strong. It has the strongest fairy type move in Moonblast. Everyone say hi to Roman. Hi, Roman. Wave. Say hi to the people. You gonna hide? Say hi. He just wants to be on camera. He's a little attention whore. And then so it also ended up maintaining Mystical Fire, which is really cool for steel type Pokemon. Great coverage, and it also gets Focus Blast, which is nice in case I need to run that as well. And great stabs in Psychic and Psyshock. But this Pokemon gets so many really good moves. Destiny Ball is fantastic. Draining Kiss or a secondary Fairy Stab is really cool. If I want to run things like Future Sight, it gets great utility in Knockoff and also Healing Wish, which is really attractive in the plans that I had for the team. It gets Light Screen, it gets Reflect, it gets really cool moves like Psychic Noise to prevent the opponent from healing if I want to use that for my Psychic Stab, which could be really sneaky. They also gave it access to Vacuum Wave, which is really cool for it because it's a special attacker and getting priority is really fantastic. It had Shadow Sneak in the past, but that's a physical move, and Vacuum Wave just ends up being overall better for it, in my personal opinion. And I just wanted to claim the overall best fairy in this available slot. No one took it, everyone skipped it. Now Aria is gonna make an appearance. So wholesome. This is a wholesome channel, guys. I'm recording a video. So wave hi to the people. Say hi. You got your Luca toys. It's a family channel, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. But now that we claimed the best fairy on the board, we wanted to claim the best spinner, so we decided to take Donphan. Donphan was still available. This is really nice to be able to help us with electro type Pokemon that are going to come in our rain team. And this is the main idea, is for rapid spin. Also, it is a fantastic physical defensive Pokemon and also hits really hard with base 120. 90 HP, these three stats are the most attractive thing about this Pokemon. We don't really care too much about it being a special attacker. We don't care too much about it being a special defensive wall. And we don't care about being very fast. The utility on this Pokemon is incredible. It has Knockoff, it has Rapid Spin, it has Ice Shard for priority, which is going to be really valuable, and it gets double stabs in Earthquake, and it also gets high horsepower, which is really nice. You telling them about Luca? And this is what I deal with behind the scenes in games, by the way. Love you guys. But I wanted to just claim the best hazard setter on the board. And now this is where I don't necessarily regret this, because I did end up with the best fairy. Hey guys, if you're gonna be here, you gotta be nice to each other. I wanted to claim the best fairy on the board. I wanted to claim the best rapid spinner. And now all of a sudden, like, everyone starts taking all my rain pieces. This is where I wanted to take, well, that's not true. Actually, that's not true. I thought to myself, pause that thought. I thought to myself, Bisharp is gonna be really fucking good in low tier. I was like, dang, I really want to get Bisharp. So I got Bisharp. This is gonna be originally my Terra captain. Terra Bisharp seems fucking broken. But the problem here is that I decided to kind of jump the gun on Bisharp, and then all of my rain pieces went away. Kilowattrel got sniped, which was gargantua for our team. No Kilowattrel is actually, I need you to be quiet though. No Kilowattrel is going to be huge. We also lost Goodra at some point, which is something that's down the line, but we ended up losing. But Kilowattrel got sniped, which is really bad, because Kilowattrel was going to be a pivotal point in our speed, being able to get stab hurricanes in the rain. But you know, it is what it is. We ended up taking the Bisharp. Eventually, we ended up dropping it, and we picked up Floatzel. Is going to be our main rain abuser. Floatzel was only 5 points, which I think is criminally underrated, because as a swift swimmer in the rain, even though we don't have our swift swim Pokemon just yet, it getting Wave Crash with a base 105 attack hits so freaking hard. Unfortunately, Floatzel is Terra banned, which means that this cannot be our Terra captain, which means Terra Water Wave Crashes would have been obnoxious to switch into, which is fine. But it gets great offensive moves to be able to pair off with rain. It gets access to Flip Turn to be able to get that pivot momentum with some stab U-turn like stuff with the water type move, especially boosted in the rain and stab. It also gets access to Aqua Jet, which also gets boosted in the rain, and great coverage in Ice Spinner. Great, not Ice Punch, Ice Spinner, which is a little bit stronger. These are the moves that are good in rain, and at base 115 speed already, it's already on the upper higher tier echelon of speed. It's already going to outspeed like almost everything on everybody's team. But the difference is that now plus rain, I will guaranteed be the fastest thing outside. Like, I think I even outspeed, I don't know the calc, I probably am wrong. What you got there? You got the hyenas? Yeah. Plus, being able to be the fastest, it probably outspeeds like Electrode and shit like that. Electrode's there, Electro Hisui, and hit really hard in the rain. That's the #1 thing. And, so we got Floatzel, and I'm really excited for it. And in this slot, we ended up taking Quillfish, Hisuian Quillfish. And this is another thing where I was like, okay, I think I probably could have waited on this, but the main concept behind this was I wanted a dark type, I wanted a poison type, and I wanted a Pokemon paired off with Eviolite to be super bulky. And it didn't even need to run Eviolite because it runs the same exact stats as normal Qwilfish, but having the Eviolite availability is really cool. But more rain pieces started to go, and it made me very sad. Luca toys, guys. It made me very sad. So I was like, okay. So then I ended up at the end of the draft abandoning Qwilfish, unfortunately, and from here we took our next rain abuser, which was Ludicolo. Ludicolo is a fantastic dual typing in the rain with Swift Sim. It gets access to things like Energy Ball, things like Giga Drain. It also gets access to Hydro Pump. I think it also gets Weather Ball, which is huge because Weather Ball becomes base 100 and turns into water, which means that it's almost like an earthquake, for lack of a better terms, in the rain, and it gets boosted, which is fantastic. Floatzel is the elite speed tier to be able to outspeed almost legit everything in the opponent's team. Ludicolo being base 70 is not terrible, but it should outspeed most Scarfers, which is great. If something like a base 110, I don't think it outspeeds it, but that's where Floatzel can come in. And now we have two rain abusers where we can take both ends of the spectrum. We can get a physical attacker and we can get a special attacker, which is really cool. And Ludicolo has a fantastic Spadef bulk of 100. Paired off with an Assault Vest could be really spicy. So now my opponent has to prepare for a physical attacker and a special attacker in the rain. And now at this point we're like, okay, enough time has passed, we have to take Politoad. Politoad is going to be the one Pokemon that we're like, okay, we have to take this Pokemon now. So Politoad is going to be our rain abuser. This is access to Drizzle, so here's our automatic rain. Like I said before, Pelipper is indeed banned, so we took this guy, which is actually really cool. It gets some good cover, it gets some good support moves, things like Encore, things like Perish Song, which could be really spicy, things like Hypnosis, which could be really handy in some matchups, and it gets Weather Ball like we talked about before. Unfortunately, they took Scald away from my boy. I think that he ended up keeping it. No, he didn't. So Politoad losing Scald sucks, but not the worst thing in the world. But this is going to be our MVP for this season. Obviously want to get rain, didn't want to get it, let it go a little bit farther, so we took that. Now from here we want to kit up a Pokemon that's able to help us with the opposing offense that may want to abuse our own weather, so we ended up taking our boy Bumbus, aka Snorlax. Bumbus is my nickname for this guy. So this is a little chunky boy. So Bumbus is going to be fantastic to do two things for us. One, help us with the special attackers, and also help us as an ice resist because it has access to Thick Fat. Because rain, one of the #1 weaknesses of rain is the move Freeze Dry. Thick Fat is going to be our helper there. So this is one of our ice resists, which is going to be fantastic. And also just being a bulky normal type in a format like this is going to be like so good. I contemplated this being a Terra Captain, but Snorlax is just going to be here as our thick like defensive backbone. And now from here I wanted to get a Pokemon that's going to help us with some weaknesses from Snorlax and also allow us to be more of a ground resist, because Ludicolo is a ground resist, but it's going to be one of our offensive Pokemon. So I wanted to get something that helps us with the fighting type weakness and also with the ground type weakness. It can also help us a lot with rain, with our defensive aspect of it, to be able to break down the walls that are going to help us get through the defenses that come towards us, things like bulky grass type Pokemon, things like bulky water type Pokemon, and nothing better can do that than Vikavolt. Vikavolt also provides us with Sticky Web, which is going to be really nice for helping us with some speed control, some Sticky Web, but having access to stab Bug Buzzes and stab electric type moves like Thunder in the rain, which would be really cool. Also access to Volt Switch, so Vikavolt's helping us break down the walls that are coming against our rain team. So, and I also really wanted to use Vikavolt. I've never had a chance to use it, and now's our opportunity to, and I feel like this is the best way to. And now from here, everything went to right. I started losing everything. I got so frustrated. And then my buddy Jay, shout out to Jason, he came out and he was like, hey man, let me cook. And he honestly, he drafted the rest of the team. I was so frustrated with I've never, ever been sniped so bad in a draft league than this. Everyone knew was doing rain, and so like we're gonna grab all these rain pieces for our team to ensure that we can get them, because they are really good in the format, and I acknowledge that, but it still sucked. Like it was bad, and I was to the point where like, all right man, I'm just gonna take a break because everything that I wanted is legit gone down the line. Everything Goodra, Kilowattrel. I wanted to get Salazzle at one point. Salazzle ended up getting sniped. It was terrible, but that's okay. Shout out to Daitai. He ended up taking over, and then he went off and drafted Kungfei. Kungfei is going to give us a defensive fairy type, and having access to Draining Kiss paired off with this awesome ability in Triage, giving it priority in these type moves, Draining Kiss and Giga Drain, things like that. And so giving us priority in our healing type moves with these guys and access to synthesis is really cool for some longevity, but this is going to be more of the defensive variant, and it helps us cover the 100 speed tier, which is really all Comfey is here for. Comfey also takes another really good fairy type off the board, put it on our team, because fairy is just a fantastic typing, especially a pure fairy type, which is really cool since Gardevoir is fairy and psychic. Helps us a little bit more of a defensive aspect, which is really, really nice. And now from here, he decided to go with Weezing. I'm going to end up probably making a little bit of a switch. It's too late for me to do it for week number 1, but there is one Pokemon that's left on the board in Amoonguss, which, and spoilers, we actually do not bring Weezing week number 1. So we've already played week 1, breaking the 4th wall. So we didn't bring Weezing, but I will switch it for Amoonguss. Amoonguss, we have the space for in regards to budget, and also helps us a little bit more in the rain aspect. Amoonguss is going to be really nice to help out with the bulky water types. It helps us with any kind of fighting type shenanigans, and it also helps us as a resistance to fairy, because right now we don't have a fairy type. In spoilers, we don't have a steel type. Steel types are a little bit far and in between. We could still get Bisharp, but Bisharp is more of an offensive Pokemon, not as a steel, and it's still available, but it's also Park Dark, which means that it doesn't resist fairy. And Amoonguss allows us with the fairy type resistance, which is fantastic, and also lets us use Spore. Spore is going to be broken, being able to pair off with Rain. Getting something to fall asleep and pivot things out is great. Politoad doesn't have access to Flip Turn, which is a crime. He's a frog. He's literally a frog, and he can't Flip Turn. That's crazy. Being able to Spore things to get out into other things like our Ludicolo or our Floatzel, which would be really, really nice. And access to the most broken ability in the game in Regenerator. Being able to switch out and get 1/3 of our max HP for free is top tier. So Amoonguss is going to end up joining the team on week number 2. Bring Weezing week number 1. It's good to talk about it here, which is going to be part of the team. And then next up, we decided to go with Scrafty. Scrafty is going to be our Terra captain this season. I'm not the biggest fan. I do acknowledge that Scrafty is fantastic with free Terra. Very, very good Pokemon. Being able to literally Terra into anything like a fairy type, a poison type, a steel type is really nice to get rid of all the weaknesses that Dark and Fighting provide. But Dark and Fighting can also provide some really good defensive utility too. It does only have 3 weaknesses in fairy, flying, but it does only have 3 weaknesses, is my point. The kids are now playing in the background and I can hear them, so I'm trying to zone in where they're at, which is why I'm blinking. But Scrafty is going to be nice. Shed Skin is fantastic for things like rest, to be able to help with that longevity. Rest gives us an opportunity to, or Shed Skin gives us an opportunity to shed this 2 rest turns a little bit faster, and also to shut off burns, shut off paralysis, which is really cool. Access to Intimidate, which is a fantastic ability to be able to automatically drop my opponent's offenses by 1 stage every single time he comes in, which is great. It's going to be nice with things like Knockoff, things like Drain Punch. It gets great coverage. It also gets Dragon Dance if I want to get kind of spicy with it. I could use this as a setup sweeper. It's a very good Pokemon, I will admit it. It's just outside my comfort zone, so we'll see how it goes. I am definitely going to keep him. I'm not going to drop him. I know Scrafty's fucking good. I'm not going to let him go. But we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to try something different. It was kind of taught to my radar because Jay drafted this for me, and then also, you know, we saw Astro J did in the BBR with it, so we do want to give it a whirl. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us. Last Pokemon is going to be an Ice Resist, because again, we don't have a Steel type, and then the Fairy type resistance is covered by Amoonguss, but now we need to get an Ice Resist. We do have it on the Snorlax, and Snorlax is a fantastic Ice Resist with the Thick Fat ability, but this is going to hit on the special side. If there's a physically offensive ice type, it's going to be kind of a problem, so we decided to go with Cloyster. Cloyster is going to give us an Ice Resist, a really, really good one. It allows us to be neutral to Freeze Dry, which is okay because Ice Resist, but water is super effective again, so it's resistant to Freeze Dry. This is going to be our physical defensive monster for ice type moves, things like Ice Spinner, Icicle Spear, Ice Crash, things like that, Ice Shard, which is fantastic. And in a format like this, Shell Smash looks kind of spicy. It also gives us access to Spikes, so now we have Spikes and Shell Smash all in one Pokemon, and for the utility that it provides and also the sweeping potential, I think it's a really cool addition to the team. And because it's a part water type, it does get a boost to its liquidation in the rain, so it does help out with the rain aspect to it. That's going to be pretty cool. I'm very excited for what Cloyster can bring for us. It does get shell armor, and it also gets skill language, but this is the team. Very excited to use it. I will say that it's very different than my vision when we first started drafting, but that's okay. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Things happen. People are assholes. I'm just kidding. It's part of the game, man. Drafting is part of the season, dude. You have to be a good drafter. You have to build a good team, and then you have to go into the season with the best 6 as you possibly can and end up hopefully making playoffs, which is going to be our #1 goal. What I am very happy with the end result, 100%. Think that we can go really, really far with this. There's a lot of incredible pieces, and everything has viability to be able to come. Fun fact, it looks like the admins kind of overlooked what the point values are going to be, which is fine because now every single team on the roster has 11 Pokemon. They all have full rosters, which is really cool, and nothing has a weak link. All of these Pokemon have viability to come. It's going to be really cool because all the power creep guys are gone. I'm super excited for the season. I think it's going to be great. I love my team. I think it ended up being pretty top tier, given the fact that I got fucking sniped off the yin yang. So huge shout out to Dietai. Thank you, bud, for helping me out in my tilt. And hope you guys are excited for the season. Let me know what you guys think of the team down in the comment section below, and hope you guys enjoyed my kids. I'm sorry that they came in like that. They told me that they were gonna play with their toys right here next to me, but they saw that there was a camera, so they wanted to get in front of it. So hope you guys don't mind. With that being said, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. I'm gonna get the heck up out of here. Have a great rest of your day, and above all else, be nice. Peace.